Well, hello there. So it's actually my day off, but Claude Code just released a new product called Claude Design, and I just had to play around with it and learn everything I needed to know about it. So this video is everything you need to know about the new Claude Design and my takes on whether this feature is indeed a Figma and Adobe killer or it's just all hype. This video won't have my usual polish in videos, but I think the content itself speaks for itself. So without further ado, let's dive right into the video. So right off, these slides that I made, this right here, I actually made with Claude Design. I personally think this is one of the killer features. The designs are the slides that it's generated is like really amazing. I could go through them a little bit, but essentially HTML slides. I've been doing this HTML slides with Reveal.js personally for all of my slides, but with Claude Design, I'm able to do it at a very higher fidelity. They've kind of fine-tuned and trained this. At its heart, the Claude Design is a website at the moment, and you could get to it by going to this URL, claude.ai, and then if you hit this button right here, design, it'll take you to the preview. And notice, one thing I immediately noticed is that they don't have dark mode support yet, but it's okay. I forgive them for now, but they have to add that because this is blinding me, to be honest. So let's get right into it. So here's the high level concept. So in the AI tool, there is a chat. The chat is moved to the left, which is very different than a lot of the standard AI tools, which is the chat is the main and center, but the canvas is on the right. So here, when you start out, this is kind of the layout. This is the very blank wireframe. If you went into this experience with nothing involved, then you will be essentially led to here. And there's some starting context that you can add. You remember context is king in Claude Code. All of the things that you learned about Claude Code, about agentic engineering and context engineering, I think all of those still apply. And rightfully so, you start off with the context. There's a high level concept of a template with Claude Design. And all of these 4 ways to start the project, which is a prototype, a slide deck, or from templates and other, they're technically all just templates. You can see it right here up top here where it says prototype, slide deck, from templates and other. And these are essentially high level templates that has a bunch of prompts, system prompts behind the scenes to help guide the AI to do certain things correctly. At the end of the day, I think they all generate assets that you can export and bring into Claude Code sessions. But these different templates give you slightly different primitives to start with. So we'll start with prototyping. In prototyping mode, there is wireframes versus high fidelity. Now, wireframe is chicken scratch. It's the most open-ended flows that you can do. So we'll do a quick example. Project Mael. So Project Mael is a little side app I'm working on where it's about feelings and stuff and tracking your feelings. So here you can start with a sketch and I'm not really good at sketching, but you have all these different options. We're gonna go into it, but at a high level, the idea is you can use a sketch and start drawing something. So Mael has to do with feelings. So let's draw a little a circle here. And then little waves, I don't know. We could do that. And the whole idea is if you see here on the left, it brings this wireframe in. And then I have this Mac OS design system, which I don't want in this, and say, this is my project called Mael. It's an app that tracks your feelings. And I want to design a logo kind of around this central idea of a circle with pulses. And here's the first thing that is kind of interesting about Claude Design is that almost every single time I've started working on these, it will always give me these wizards. And I think they probably spent a lot of time with all of these kind of different options. Technically, you don't need any of this, but these are the things that are the nice to haves here that I see some differentiation between other AI design tools. So let's just say Mark Rum, and then let's do minimal and Unitarian. And then obviously there's a lot of things you can do, but let's just hit continue for the sake of this demo. The whole idea is it doesn't assume. It tries not to assume, and it preemptively, if you did a regular Claude Code session, you would probably go through these wizards as well. Claude asks you questions, but here it kind of preemptively asks you all those questions up front. And I think that's one of the powers of these templates. So here's the logos. This is kind of cool. Like it kind of got what I was thinking a little bit. And you could like tweak it a little bit here. So that's wireframe, but let's try high fidelity. For high fidelity, the docs recommend that you kind of blend it with a design system that you already have. Now, I already have one that I've injected, and that's something that we're going to get into about like adding your own design system. But let's create like a water drinking tracker right now. Water tracking app. All right, so if you saw earlier, I had this Pomodoro macOS design system. This is something I imported earlier. It's a Figma file with all of the macOS kind of like design language, like liquid glass, and things like that. I want you to design 3 screens where it tracks my water drinking consumption, and it's basically the main screen should be the water like bottle that like goes down throughout the day as I track me drinking water, and then the other should be like stat tracking. Now we have the questionnaire again. The one thing that you'll slightly see different here is that it has my Mac OS like Figma like system design. It's using that language to ask me questions about it, like you can see. So here it says, where does this app live? I want it to be a drop down bar, like basically something that happens on the top bar. That would be really cool. Probably a settings and a goal reminder. Okay, this is pretty cool. I kind of like this. Okay, let's do that one for now. I kind of want 2 to 3 layouts to try. Just like any Claude Code thing, it takes a while for these things to go. So I always recommend you guys to be doing multitasking or doing other things. But honestly, so far my high level take is that these are just fundamentally the best zero to design that I've seen so far. The designs are just like very beautiful, like fundamentally, especially this high fidelity one, and especially if you have good Figmas to port in. Overall, it's pretty good. I think this needs to change, so I'm gonna change this right now. Fundamentally, this water bottle sucks. I want it to be a lot smaller, and I just want it to be like a minimalist like design, more just with SVG lines rather than like an actual representation of the water. I kind of really like this. I think fundamentally it's pretty good. I think the colors are a little off, but I could see myself building this. This is really cool. And the stats are very Apple-esque. I see a bunch of little issues, like the padding here. There's no padding here. Like we need padding for this. Okay. I'm already just like I already ended up just like starting to see bugs and like working on this, like work. This is just the curse of being an engineer who cares about all of this stuff. I just see bugs everywhere and just like visual like inconsistencies everywhere. And this happens to me in every single app. I feel like bugs chase me around, and anytime I open any app, I can guarantee you that I'll find a bug or like something that's visually off or some UX issue. Like it's a sickness. Like I feel like I'm just always working all the time when I'm on my phone. Okay, but the water needs to be way smaller. It should almost be like an icon, like with maybe a visual, like horizontal progress bar on the right. So one of the cool things about this research demo that Anthropic dropped is that they actually had these like 9 demos ship with the preview. And I'm going to show you these. To get there, you just go from your right, like projects list, and then you hit designs. And then these are essentially like the 9 previews. And then you can kind of get an idea of what is possible with this particular tool. Now, one of the really cool things that I found was animations. I'm a YouTube content creator, so I really wanted to test out these animations because I could see a world where I generate some of these like transitions and animations that I would want in my videos in this. This is the default like thing, but I want to add my Mac OS Pomodoro like design system and see if it makes it Mac-ish. Behind the scene, it uses like JavaScript. And there is something called remotion. I don't know if they're using remotion, but the nice thing about all of these things is that because at the end of the day, the product, the end like output is all code, like even the slides and even like they're all code. That's like one thing I realized. So you could always like take it to Claude Code and then further like change it and modify it. And to me, that's like such a big deal. Okay, here's the animation. This is pretty cool. It's very I could see a lot of interesting things happening. I could see a lot of interesting things that I could build with this. This makes me kind of want to build an entire pipeline where I could generate these kind of animations. I might work on it. Okay. All of these different examples, I recommend you guys to kind of like dig into it on your own, but they're just like a good way to like get your creative juices going, in my opinion. All right, so once you have your initial design assets created, the next thing to do is to be able to tweak it and edit it. And the Claude Design tool has abundant ways to do it. There's many different ways. There's like 6 different ways to make your additional changes. Now, to show some of these canvas mode, I made this like little Pomodoro like design. And the whole idea of this Pomodoro app, like I always like using Pomodoros because it's such a widely known app. It has like timers and moving elements. So it's always like good to test these things out. That's why I usually use Pomodoros. First important thing is that if you have tweaks enabled, you're able to change the color live. And these like other essential controls. So not all designs will have this, but some of them, when they have it, you're able to just tweak it without having to change the code. And the way they do this, the way this is possible is because this is actually just an HTML page. And all of these are probably just like parameters behind the scene. And you're able to change all of these. So that's the first way to change things. The second thing is to draw. So all of the controls are right here. And basically when you do draw, you get these like little things like that, right? So let's say that we want to change this right here, where we say this is a little too close, a little too like the words feel a little tight. Hey, the words feel a little tight here. Can you add padding? And you can see on the left side that it took my drawing and then it took the screenshot of the word. It's actually really interesting. I think they're using multimodal here rather than injecting the word in. Now, the other way to do it is with edit. And with edit, you can just like select any element that you want. It's kind of like tweaks, but it's just a lot more. So let's just do something like 8 here, for example. And that gives me a lot more padding, right? And here, I don't really like the font, let's say. Let's change the font tier. So as you can see, this is just a way to edit the HTML directly. So that's another way. The next way is really around comments, which is here. So I want to take a quick moment and talk about comments because I think comments is probably the most important thing in something like this. The reason why I say this is because that's how engineers and designers actually work, right? Though oftentimes a typical workflow for designing and engineering is you'll select different parts of the elements. Like this is a bug, actually. Let's lower this a little bit. Let's make it like 100%. So you'll say something like you could select elements and say something like, I would love this to be a horizontal progress bar rather than a circular progress bar. Something like that. So you would comment this, and then you could say something like, this should be like a live indicator, so the like dot should pulse. for example. So this is a typical workflow. And the nice thing here, the thing that's really cool is on the left side, you could select whichever comments that you want and just send it to Claude. And that just queues up all the changes. And then that will fundamentally go through and change the HTMLs. So I feel like this is a really cool feature, and I'm surprised Figma and these other tools have not created it. I think Pencil has this feature from my understanding, but this is such a killer feature in my opinion. And then as you can see, it changed the progress bar. One major feedback that I have right now is that it doesn't hot reload your changes live. You have to click this button. But yeah, now the pulse right there, the pulse is here too. And then I already showed off kind of like zooming in and out, and you can do this. And then you could also like present it. So you could go to a full tab, and you could do full screen. You could do like in a new tab. So there's all these different ways to like play with it. So these are the different like canvas modes and how you can really like play around with the canvas. I still think there's some bugs, but it's a preview. Now, one additional thing about comments that I think is really important is that it is collaborative. You can invite like a group of people into your Claude design. You can see here, there's like an organization thing, and this is my organization. Basically, anyone in your organization can like comment here on various things, manage all of the comments, and then like send or queue all of them up, which I think is really important. Now, I think they still need a ton of features here. Like if they really want to compete with Figma, like this specific feature and the nuts and bolts of how this works needs to be really great, because you can't build everything on your own. And in Figma, one of the beautiful things about Figma here, like for example, is you can do these things where you can follow people, you know? Like I don't know if you guys ever use this, but this allows you to follow people, and you can like look at a bunch of things, and there's, as much as people say like sometimes Figma is hard to work with and stuff like that, there's just so many features in here. And then as a designer, in my opinion, these are good, but this is like not enough. This is not enough control, right? Like you want to be, in my opinion, like this is a really good start, but it's just not there yet. In my opinion, that a designer would choose this over Figma. I think like to prototype ideas and things like that, this is like great. But as like a designer who needs more control, and this is the same thing, like I'm an engineer. So if you give me something like this and I only have like very few options to like change, like to me, this is very similar to what you would get from Squarespace, right? But you have the AI to be able to make the changes, but it's not fine-grained enough control that I would use this only. Now, I would use this and leverage it to do other things too, but I still think there's a place for like Figma and Photoshop with all of these different things, right? And Photoshop inherently is like a different tool, in my opinion. It's not really like this stuff. Oh shoot, I hit my limits. All right, the next big thing is the contents ingestion. Now, just like a web portal, I think this part is gonna be the most painfully annoying part for me personally. As a power user for like the CLI tools, I build my own RAG. I have my own retrieval for context for all of my projects. So for me, my ideal use case for this tool would be that I have all of this thing locally, and then I can use the API to like hit some of the main like canvas features or the template features. I just need a tool CLI access for this tool personally. But the cool thing is that you can have like Figma as like a port, and in my opinion, this is huge. You could have GitHub, so it'll read your like code, and then just like random links and references you could just do, just like any Claude code. But to me, the Figma part is big, in my opinion, and I'm gonna show you why. So if you just go to Google and like type in Figma design systems, there's a ton of like free design systems. And like immediately I found like this one. It has like 4,770 design systems. And this is where I actually got the Mac OS. But you can just browse these and then really just grab whatever you want. The important thing is you can't actually use the web to download. You actually need to go to the Figma app. So you need to have the Figma app, but fundamentally this is where you can like get your designs. So once you're in here, so you go to File and then you can save a local copy. And then here on the top, you hit Design Systems and you could create a new one. And then here you just say Carbon. This one was called Carbon. And here, this is where you can like insert a bunch of stuff. So you could connect, GitHub, and this is where you upload the Figma. So here you can see I'm attaching all the pages and all the frames, and it does the imports. And now like this is actually going to take some time. It's a lot of work to like actually create the design systems, because once you start the generation, you have like a bunch of wizards will set up the the tokens and like the colors, the fonts, and all of that stuff. So it takes some time. But this is how you create your own design systems. And once you have the design systems, one thing that is awesome is that you can then take that and generate things consistently using the design systems. So I'll let this go and I'll come back to it to show you guys. But that at a high level, that's how you use the design systems. And I've already done this with the Mac OS. Essentially, if you go to design files right here, when you create a design system, something like this will be created for you, where it has all of the assets and the previews, all of the brand colors, and you can like open them and actually like look at all of them. It's essentially creating you all of these composable elements behind the scenes. And in my opinion, if you're not a designer, this step is going to be the single best thing that you can do for your designs, because this kind of has like what a designer would do when when you're starting like a new company or something, is to create all of these like UI kit for you. It'll create the brand colors, it'll create like the brand menus and like talk about what it is, and all of these things that you care as a designer to make your designs feel consistent. And if you don't have something like this, then it's very hard for you to keep iterating on your designs and make multiple features that feel similar. Now, another really great way to do what I'm talking about is actually connecting your code to the projects, because the way I actually generate a lot of my Figma designs at work and like other places is I have it point to my code and point to my design system, and then use that to iterate on new designs. You have all this different context that you could add into your design system. And it's like if you ever use ChatGPT or like Claude's projects, it's basically that, but it's hyper focused to design system. And this is kind of, in my opinion, what makes a lot of this work and will be actually used for real work rather than just prototype. The next slides are pretty quick, but basically you have access to 6 different models, and you can do that by going into here. Have access to that by hitting this like gear. I don't know why it's the gear. It's kind of a weird choice for a gear, but anyways, that's how you get into it. Basically, all of these models, I think if you don't know, just you probably want to just stay on the 4.6 at least. 4.7 is the newest one. There's kind of a debate right now on which model is actually better, but obviously Anthropic will say that 4.7 is the best. And the Haiku is their fastest model, but the weakest model. And then Sonnet is like pretty good too. It's like their mid-tier model. Okay, so the other thing you can do is you can export all of these designs that you create. So let's say that like I have this Pomodoro thing and I want to export it. You just hit export, and then you could essentially send it to any one of these. And in my opinion, there's these different ways of doing it, but this right here, you could design the entire thing and then hand it off to Claude Code. To me, this is the biggest, this is like the best feature. And I really like the direction that a lot of this is going recently with Anthropic and all of the other like labs, which is like remote control or scheduling or routine, or just like basically not keeping that Cloud Code instance in one place, but being able to transport it and teleport it to different places. I actually personally found that things like Lovable and like all these like things where you do all the work on the web UI, it's very limited. It's really good to get you off the ground, but it's super limited. So I like it when you bring it back into the power tool, which is Cloud Code. It has access to everything. So what I did for this is the way you do it is you just go to export and you click Handoff to Cloud Code, and it gives you like, just like, it just gives you this command. And then you go into your Cloud Code instance and then you just like paste it in. And then it will read this API right here, and then it will bring it in. So I already did it right here for this instance. And basically I took the initial designs that I had for the slides, and I just like started editing it just using regular Cloud Code. And it's much, in my opinion, it's faster and I know how to use it a lot better. But I also took it and made my own like slide rules off of this because I really liked how the slides looked. So now if I ever want to make Anthropic related slides, it will probably look like this. So you can see here, I made these slides right here, and it had like, it's basically the slides that I have, but there was like a bunch of little things that I wanted to change. Just to let you guys know, I am on the max plan, but I've been using an insane amount of Claude Code. I have a bunch of this stuff. I have my other laptops. I have my other computers doing like this AI research pipeline. I have so much. I just have so much shit going on right now. I'm tempted to buy another max plan, or just switch one of them completely to my Codex max plan. So I'm a power user for sure. So in terms of availability, basically all of these like Pro, Max, and Teams, it's all on by default. But I will tell you, this Claude Code design eats tokens like no other. I think it's using a ton of multimodal, ton of like, it has a bunch of system prompts behind the scenes. The thing is, it's hard to know when you're using it, unlike Claude Code, because you have all these like nice tools in Claude Code, like, you know, /context and all of that kind of stuff, right? But I just don't really see it in these tools. It's not there. So that's a huge thing that is missing. Like there's no sense of how much tokens I'm using. That's a big deal for me. But yeah, that's everything that you need to know about the Claude Design tool right now as its preview state. So here's my personal take. I don't think that this tool is going to kill Figma or Adobe just yet. I think it is a preview. I think it's right that it's just a preview, but I see so much potential with this. The thing is, you know, Claude and Anthropic and all these AI tools, they're going for every, you know, white collar tech jobs, right? The one saving grace that I think that these other like companies have is that they're specialized. Now, because Claude Design is not specialized for like that Figma workflow, unless everyone decides that they no longer need all of these like power tools and these like layers and like transparencies and all of this stuff, like, and all, like there's so much things that were built into Figma, in my opinion. And same thing with Adobe. There's like so many features. I still use Adobe for like my thumbnails and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a lot of things that this Claude Design tool can do, and it's gonna be good. And in my opinion, like slides, it's killer at making slides. Like I can't imagine. I will probably use this for all my slides now, at least to start my slides, and then I'll move it to like Claude Code. But for honestly, for design, like straight up designs, I can't see it fully replacing a designer's workflow. Like just like a lot of AI tools and a lot of AI demos, it's an amazing demo, but like it doesn't quite fit the designer's workflow and the engineer/designer's workflow. I think for single like engineers, it's like it's good enough, but it doesn't have enough of the like it has the comment thing, but it doesn't have the enough of the collaboration yet. The system design stuff is good, but it's not like quite there in my opinion. The editing thing is like there, but it's not quite there yet. So it's gonna take, in my opinion, it will like cover a huge portion of like non-serious designers, but for like very serious designers, I can't imagine them switching off of Figma to use this as their main driver. Like for prototyping and stuff like that, I could see that. But an argument can be made that like you can control Figma using MCP, like Claude Code MCP, and you can get a lot of these things done too. So why wouldn't you do that? Because then you have the raw elements in Figma already, and those canvas like and elements are like just native primitives to Figma. Like I don't see right now an export to Figma. If they built that, that would be kind of great. I don't actually think that Anthropic will go like that far all the way towards Figma, like those power tools, but we'll see. Time will tell. But for now, I think this is a really fantastic preview. I'm definitely going to use it. I will probably use it a lot for my flow because Figma is a little heavy for me. For most of my side projects, I just need something quick and just like useful and that works. I don't have side projects where it needs to be like multiple people and multiple iterations. It's really just quick and fun things for like my YouTube videos. But yeah, so this fits perfectly for my use case. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know what's funny is because I have this other video that I worked on a few weeks ago that just finished editing, and it's about design, replacing design, and I mainly use this like tool called Pencil AI, and it's like Figma, but in my opinion better, or it's going to the right direction of what I think AI design should be, which is this like multi-agentic AI that actually lives within the canvas and the tool itself. It's similar to this, but it's, in my opinion, it's even better. But I think the model quality and the system prompts and stuff of Claude Design is better. So I like the interface of that other tool more than this, but I like the output of Claude's design system better. At least they're like pre-built stuff. So yeah, that video is coming out. just know that I didn't know about this when I made it. I would have probably used this for that video. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go check out that video. It should be already out by now. And also, if you want to look at my Claude Code videos, if you want to just learn more about Claude Code, I make a ton of videos on AI coding in general. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.